Chosen one. Lean in closely. What I'm about to reveal is not ordinary encouragement. It is a divine announcement. You are not watching or reading these words by accident. This very moment has been orchestrated by heaven. Out of all the paths you could have taken, out of all the voices you could be hearing, God has aligned your steps so that you would arrive right here, right now, at this turning point. You have been walking on the edge of something monumental, standing on the rim of a destiny that has been waiting to unfold. And tonight, heaven declares the threshold you've been staring at is ready to open. This is not about wishful thinking, not about human timing, but about divine timing. God Himself has marked this night as an intersection between your prayers and His promises. Do you feel the weight of this hour? For years, you have carried questions that seemed unanswered dreams that felt too fragile to mention out loud, hopes that flickered like fading embers. Yet, none of it was wasted. None of it was ignored. Every whispered prayer in the midnight hour was collected. Every hidden tear was noticed. Every sacrifice you thought nobody saw has been accounted for in heaven's ledger. And now the season has turned. Tonight matters more than the last 10 years combined. Not because years are meaningless, but because one divine moment can outweigh a decade of striving. In the kingdom of God, there are suddenlies moments that compress time, moments that shift the atmosphere, moments that prove that waiting was never in vain. This is one of those nights. Chosen one, understand this. You were set apart from the beginning. Your story has not been a series of coincidences, but a carefully woven design. The battles, you fought the seasons, you endured the wilderness you walked through. They were not detours, they were preparations. Even your delays were divine. Heaven has not been late, it has been exact. So here you are standing at the brink of a divine unveiling. The earth may see you as ordinary, but heaven knows you as appointed. Tonight is the opening of a chapter where your life will no longer be defined by waiting, but by walking in what was promised. The heavens are roaring, their confirmation, chosen, one. This is your hour, chosen. One, hear this clearly. You are stepping into a season where the pace of heaven will overtake the pace of earth. The slowness, the stagnation, the delays that have marked your past are about to collapse under the weight of God's acceleration. What once seemed to drag endlessly will suddenly surge. Where you felt stuck, you will find yourself moving with such speed that even you will struggle to explain it. This is not ordinary progress. It is breakthrough. A divine breakthrough does not follow the natural order of time, it bends it. God specializes in compressing what should take years into a single night, a single opportunity, a single divine encounter. Think of Joseph, who went from prisoner to palace in the span of a day. Think of Peter, who after fishing all night caught nothing only to experience nets overflowing with fish at the word of Jesus. That is acceleration. That is breakthrough. And that is what heaven has scheduled for you now. For too long, you've been in what felt like a holding pattern. The prayers you released seemed to circle back unanswered. The doors you knocked on remained shut. But hear me, those delays were not denials, they were divine setups. God has been aligning the right people, the right timing, and the right circumstances. And when the alignment is complete, breakthrough happens quickly. So quickly, it can feel overwhelming. Get ready, because the walls that resisted you are already crumbling. Barriers that seemed immovable are about to vanish. Mountains of debt, fear, confusion, or doubt are being leveled. The breakthroughs won't just open one door. They will open corridors. What seemed like isolated opportunities will multiply into streams. The flow of favor will come suddenly and without warning, because it is no longer tied to your effort, it is tied to God's decree. And when breakthrough comes, expect clarity. The fog of uncertainty will lift. The confusion of what's next will give way to unmistakable direction. Where you once hesitated, you will stride with confidence, because the Spirit of God will make the path plain. This is why you endured the waiting season. It sharpened your sensitivity to know the difference between distraction and destiny. Chosen one. This is not a small ripple. This is a wave. You're moving from hoping to having, from asking to receiving, from endurance to enjoyment. The season of merely surviving is over. The season of overflow is here. Heaven is not only giving you a key to one locked room, it is opening the vault. But here, this breakthrough is not meant to make you comfortable. It is meant to make you effective. The acceleration on your life is not for self-indulgence, but for kingdom advancement. God is enlarging your capacity, not so you can hoard blessings, but so you can pour them out. You're being accelerated, not just into provision, but into purpose. So buckle up. The wind of God is behind you, and when He pushes, nothing can resist. The same ground that once felt heavy will suddenly feel like liftoff. Opportunities will materialize. Hindrances will go mute. And your life will testify to this undeniable truth. What should have taken 10 years, God completed in one decisive breakthrough. Acceleration is here. Breakthrough is now. Chosen one. Let's be honest. Your journey has not been easy. You have walked through valleys that felt endless, endured nights that seemed darker than dawn, and carried weights that no one else saw. But let me remind you, hardship was never meant to break you. It was meant to shape you. Every trial, every delay, every rejection was part of a divine curriculum designed to prepare you for what is unfolding now. Heaven has a pattern. Before God elevates, He refines. Before Joseph wore the robe of royalty, he wore the chains of prison. Before David was crowned king, he was chased into caves. Before Esther sat on the throne, she was hidden in obscurity. Each story echoes the same truth. Preparation is born in hardship. You chosen one are no exception. Your seasons of isolation were not signs of abandonment, but seasons of instruction. The silence you felt was not God's absence, it was His training ground. He was teaching you how to hear His whisper without the noise of the crowd, how to stand alone with conviction when applause was absent. He stripped away false dependencies so that when your elevation came, you would know your foundation was Him alone. The pain you carried was not wasted. Every tear, every disappointment, every closed door was pressing something eternal into you. Hardship is the furnace that tempers the vessel. Without fire, gold cannot be purified. Without pressure, diamonds cannot form. Likewise, without trials, your spirit would not carry the strength it now possesses. Do you realize that your scars are not disqualifiers? They are qualifications. They testify that you have endured, that you have walked through storms, and yet remain standing. Heaven does not overlook scars, it crowns them. The very places where you thought you were breaking are the places God has been building. Chosen one. You have felt overlooked, even forgotten. But that, too, was a preparation. Being overlooked taught you humility. Being delayed taught you patience. Being rejected taught you resilience. These qualities cannot be bought, and they cannot be rushed. They are only forged in hardship. And now, as you step into elevation, you carry the wisdom to handle what others might squander. Remember this: The wilderness was never punishment, it was preparation. Israel wandered 40 years, not because God had no plan, but because he was shaping them into a people who could inherit the promise. You have wandered, yes, but every step was measured. Every season was orchestrated. You were not losing time, you were gaining depth. The enemy wanted you to believe that hardship was proof of failure, but in truth, it was proof of favor. God disciplines and refines those he loves, those he intends to trust with greater assignments. The very struggles you thought would disqualify you have in fact qualified you for the next level. So, lift your head, chosen one. The pain was real, but so is the purpose. You are not stepping into breakthrough empty-handed. You are carrying treasures forged in fire. Compassion, wisdom, perseverance, faith. These are the jewels hardship gave you. They will be the very tools you use to steward the blessing that is about to arrive. Understand this: without preparation, elevation collapses. Without character, success destroys. But because you endured hardship, you are ready not just to rise, but to remain. Not just to step into blessing, but to carry it well. Chosen one, the wilderness is ending, and the preparation is complete. The same tears that fell in secret will now water the harvest in public. Your hardship was not wasted, it was the soil of destiny, and now you are ready for the unveiling. Chosen one. You have wondered why it took so long. You've watched others sprint ahead while your path seemed slowed by unseen hands. You questioned God. Did you forget me? Did you pass me by? But heaven answers today. Delay is not denial. Every moment of waiting was part of the divine clock. The weight you carried in waiting has been the very weight preparing you to carry glory. God's timing is never rushed, never premature. He moves with precision, like the orbits of the stars he hung in the heavens. The same God who commands the sunrise and holds back the oceans has been orchestrating your journey down to the second. To human eyes, it may look like wasted years, but in the council of eternity, those years were investments. You were not behind schedule. You were on heaven's exact schedule. Early release would have crushed you. Premature promotion would have destroyed what only maturity could sustain. That is why doors didn't open when you begged, why opportunities slipped through your hands, why silence seemed to echo louder than answers. Heaven wasn't ignoring you. Heaven was protecting you. For the blessing you are about to carry requires more than desire. It requires durability. Think of David, anointed as king as a boy. Yet he did not ascend the throne until years later. Why? Because the throne required a heart tempered in battle, not just oil poured on his head. Think of Abraham, promised a son, but made to wait decades until faith was formed in his very bones. God was not being cruel. He was ensuring the promise would not be wasted. So too with you, chosen one. The seasons that felt like delay were not empty space. They were sacred classrooms. Patience, humility, discernment, faith. These were forged in the waiting. And now, when the door swings open, you will not stumble through in panic, but stride through in readiness. This is the weight of heaven's timing when the moment arrives. It will arrive fully prepared, fully resourced, fully aligned. No scrambling, no second guessing. What once felt like slowness will suddenly feel like speed, because you will realize heaven was aligning everything behind the curtain while you stood in front of it, wondering why it was closed. Chosen one, you're not late, you're right on time. The delay was divine, the waiting was weighty, and the weight you carried has now become the strength that will sustain you in elevation. Heaven's clock has struck. The hour has come. What God has appointed cannot be postponed another day. Chosen one, when heaven moves, it moves suddenly. For years you have felt the drag of delay, the crawl of progress, the weight of waiting. But hear this, the very hour that felt like it would never come is the hour you are now entering. God is not preparing to lift you, He is lifting you. The shift will not be gradual, like a slow climb up a hill. It will be sudden, like a rocket piercing the sky. Do you feel the pull of acceleration in your spirit? This is not imagination, it is confirmation. The same ground that once held you back will now release you forward. Opportunities that were locked will swing open. Rooms you once peered into from the outside will suddenly demand your presence on the inside. What felt like years of rejection will be reversed in a single invitation, a single breakthrough, a single yes from heaven. But this elevation is not just about position, it is about vindication. For too long, voices have whispered that you were finished, that your waiting was proof of failure, that your silence was evidence of insignificance. They mocked when you sowed seeds in barren soil. They dismissed you when you stood faithfully in obscurity. They labeled your persistence as stubbornness, your prayers as wasted breath. But the same God who kept score of your secret tears is now ready to display your testimony. Vindication does not come through revenge, it comes through evidence. God is about to make your life the undeniable proof of His faithfulness. Those who questioned your worth will be silenced not by your words, but by your fruit. Those who laughed at your journey will watch as doors open that no human hand can explain. You will not need to fight back, argue, or justify yourself. The success God brings will answer for you. Think of Joseph. One day he was forgotten in prison. The next day he was second only to Pharaoh. Think of Daniel. One night he was thrown into the lion's den. The next morning he was vindicated before a king and an empire. When God lifts, He does it in such a way that no one can deny His hand. So it will be with you. Chosen one, prepare your heart for the suddenness of this rise. It will feel like liftoff. What you thought would take years will happen in moments. The very platform that once seemed unreachable will be placed beneath your feet. And when it happens, remember, this is not the reward of human striving, but the fruit of divine faithfulness. Vindication also means restoration. The years that were lost, the opportunities that slipped away, the relationships that dissolved God is not only returning what was stolen, He is multiplying it. Where you once tasted lack, you will now carry abundance. Where you once endured ridicule, you will now wear honor. Where you once walked hidden, you will now walk recognized, not for vanity, but for testimony. Chosen one. Lift your head. Your time has come. The whispers of doubt are being drowned by the roar of breakthrough. The tables are turning, the atmosphere is shifting, and the season of obscurity is closing. Get ready for sudden elevation. Get ready for undeniable vindication. This is not just your comeback. This is God's confirmation. Chosen one, if this word is resonating with your spirit, pause right now and declare it with your own mouth. Speak life into your season right in the comments. Yes, Lord, this is my breakthrough. That simple act is not about formality, it is about alignment. When you declare it publicly, you plant a seed of faith that heaven honors. And while you're here, don't journey alone. Stay connected, because these messages are not random. They are reminders that heaven is still speaking, still moving, still unfolding purpose in your life. Chosen. One elevation is never only about you. Breakthrough is not the end of the story. It is the beginning of an assignment. The blessing that is arriving in your life was not designed to terminate with you. It was designed to flow through you. God's favor is not just for your comfort, but for your calling. For too long, the world has taught people to chase platforms, applause, and recognition. But heaven reminds you, Applause fades, but assignment remains. When God accelerates your life, He does it so you can carry light into places still shrouded in darkness. Your rise is not a trophy for display. It is a tool for transformation. Think about Abraham. God blessed him abundantly, but the promise was never just for his household. The covenant was that through you, all nations will be blessed. Think about Esther. Her crown was not simply an ornament of beauty, but a key to preserve her people. Likewise, your elevation is tied to something larger. It carries generational and communal weight. Chosen one. Your life is becoming a vessel of impact. The resources that come will not only relieve your lack, they will equip you to meet the needs of others. The influence that opens to you will not only validate your identity, it will give you a voice to speak truth where silence once reigned. The doors that swing wide will not only prove your perseverance, they will give you access to arenas where destiny assignments are waiting. This is why you endured hardship. This is why you walked the narrow road. Because God could trust you not to waste what He places in your hands. Others may have squandered influence for self-glory, but you have been tempered by wilderness seasons. You know the cost of waiting. You understand the value of stewardship. That is why heaven is releasing not only breakthrough, but responsibility. Purpose beyond self means your legacy will ripple outward. Your children will walk in favor because you broke chains. Your community will flourish because you stood faithful. Even generations you may never meet will be touched by your obedience. The blessing you carry is not limited to your lifetime. It is designed to echo through history. So when the doors open, remain grounded. Do not measure success by applause, but by assignment. Do not let recognition redefine your heart. Stay anchored in humility, gratitude, and service. The platform is not your crown. It is your pulpit. The resources are not your reward. They are your responsibility. Chosen. 1. Embrace this truth. The breakthrough you receive is heaven's investment for kingdom expansion. You are not simply rising to live better. You are rising to lift others. Your story will not only testify to what God has done for you, but to what God is doing through you. This is purpose beyond self. This is legacy in motion. Chosen one. The season you are stepping into is not simply about what you will have. It is about who you are becoming. For too long, you carried labels that did not belong to you. Words spoken in haste. Rejections that cut deep false identities pressed onto your soul by people who could not see your worth. You were called overlooked, forgotten, inadequate, unworthy, but heaven says otherwise. Tonight, those false names fall away. Your true identity is being restored. Identity in God is not fragile. It is unshakable. It is not defined by circumstance or shaped by opinion. When the Father marks you, no critic can unmark you. When heaven declares you chosen, no human rejection can undo it. Every place where shame once whispered honor is about to speak. Every shadow where doubt tried to linger light is about to shine. You are not what you went through. You are who God says you are. The restoration of identity is also the release of authority. You are not simply surviving hardship. You are stepping into rulership. Authority means you no longer bow to the chains that once held you. Fear does not dictate your steps. Shame does not shape your choices. Poverty, depression, and rejection no longer have the final word. Where the enemy once told you no, heaven now thunders a resounding yes. Think of Moses. Once a fugitive silenced by his past, but when God called his name, authority ignited, and he spoke before kings. Think of Gideon. He saw himself as the least in his family, yet heaven addressed him as mighty warrior. Think of Peter. Once broken by denial but restored by Jesus' word, he carried such authority that his shadow brought healing. These stories are not distant, they are mirrors. What God did for them, He is doing for you. Chosen one, the authority coming upon your life is not arrogance, it is assignment. Authority does not mean you dominate. It means you stand. It means you move in power that is not your own, backed by the sovereignty of God. When you speak truth, it will carry weight. When you pray, it will shift atmospheres. When you walk into rooms, the climate will change, because heaven walks in with you. Do not be surprised when those who once dismissed you must now acknowledge the hand of God upon you. This is not revenge, it is recognition. Your scars are not shameful, they are sacred. They are proof that you endured the fire and emerged with authority. Every tear, every rejection, every silent season has been converted into spiritual weight. Chosen one, you are no longer the overlooked. You are the appointed. You are no longer the rejected. You are the revered. You are no longer the silenced. You are the voice heaven is amplifying. Walk boldly, not because of who you are, but because of whose you are. This restoration is not temporary, it is permanent. Authority rooted in God cannot be revoked. Identity defined by heaven cannot be erased. Rise in it, speak from it, live out of it. Because from this point on, your life will not only reflect survival, it will radiate authority and identity anchored in the eternal. Chosen one. Every night has an ending. No matter how long the shadows stretch, no matter how heavy the silence feels, dawn is inevitable, and for you, the night is over. The long season of waiting, wrestling, and wondering has served its purpose. Now, the horizon glows with the first light of a new day. You know the weight of the night, the loneliness of unanswered prayers, the ache of dreams deferred, the silence that made you wonder if God still remembered your name. You've walked through darkness so thick that hope felt like a flickering candle. Yet here you stand, and that in itself is proof. You survived the night, and survival is never wasted in the kingdom of God. Survival is evidence that the dawn was worth waiting for. When dawn comes, it does not only bring light, it brings clarity. The things you could not see in the shadows suddenly reveal themselves in full color. In the same way, this new season will expose opportunities that were hidden alignments, that were waiting promises that were planted long ago. You will see with clarity what was once clouded by confusion. Where the night brought questions, the dawn will bring answers. Where the night brought weariness, the dawn will bring strength. Chosen one. This dawn is not ordinary daylight. It is the light of destiny. It carries warmth, healing, and revelation. It will not only brighten your path, but expand it. The vision you once held faintly will sharpen into focus. The promises of God, which seemed distant and delayed, will now stand close and undeniable. You will walk in what you once only dreamed of. The dawn is also a declaration. It testifies that God's word cannot fail. Just as the sun rises without fail each morning, so too does His promise rise without fail in your life. The enemy tried to convince you that the night would never end, but even he cannot stop the rotation of heaven's order. The night had its role to refine, to prune, to strip away, but it was never meant to last forever. And now, chosen one, the morning belongs to you. Step forward, not with fear, but with confidence. The old attachments, the dead weights, the lingering doubts cannot follow you into this new day. This dawn has made them obsolete. Lift your head, breathe in the fresh air of promise, and let the warmth of destiny settle into your bones. The night has done its work. The day has begun. Rise into it boldly, for the dawn after the night is yours. Chosen one. The time for questioning has ended. The waiting, the wandering, the endless rehearsals of when will it be my turn are behind you. Heaven has spoken. Tonight is a season of unshakable yes. The door that once resisted you is opening. The path that once seemed blocked is clear. The silence that once haunted you is breaking into a roar of confirmation. This rise is not a fleeting moment. It is a divine pivot. It is the launch of a lasting legacy. Everything you endured, every scar you carry, every hidden tear has been woven into this unveiling. You will not simply step into blessing. You will step into assignment. This breakthrough will not just restore what was lost, it will multiply what remains. Chosen one, walk into this season boldly. Do not shrink back. Do not apologize for the favor that rests on your life. You were not preserved all these years to remain hidden. You were prepared to be revealed. And when you rise, let your elevation point upward, not inward. Let your success be a testimony that God is faithful, that His promises endure, that His timing is perfect. Your story has turned. The past 10 years have not been wasted. They were preparation. Tonight compresses them into a divine moment, and from this moment forward, nothing will remain the same. You will walk with authority. You will move in clarity. You will carry influence not for vanity, but for kingdom purpose. So breathe deep, step forward. Leave behind what no longer belongs to your destiny. The night is over, the dawn is here. The soil is ready, the heavens are roaring their yes. Chosen one, rise. Claim the inheritance prepared for you. Steward it with humility. Carry it with courage, and let it ripple into generations yet unborn. For what begins tonight is not a temporary lift, but the unveiling of a legacy written by the hand of God Himself. This is your final declaration. The wait is over. The yes is here, and the story has shifted forever. Chosen one. You've heard heaven's yes now. It's your turn to respond. If this word has confirmed something in your spirit, take action, type Amen, or 777 in the comments as your declaration that you are stepping into alignment. Share this message with someone else who needs to know their waiting is not wasted. Stay connected, so you won't miss the next prophetic word that builds on this moment. Remember, participation is not just engagement, it is agreement. And agreement with heaven is the gateway to manifestation.